Let's take a few moments to remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be able to listen to the Dhamma that will help us reduce our desire, aversion, delusion, and how very fortunate we are to be able to be disciples of the Supreme Buddha. So, before we start, let's take a few moments to worship the Supreme One, the infinitely compassionate One, the winner of all of samsara, the Lord Buddha. To do so, please recite all together and with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I want to start off by reminding, or more like remembering. The last couple of weeks we've had several meritorious occasions, and I do want to take a moment for us to, rejoice in what has happened. So last week we had an ordination ceremony. And we've had these 13 newly ordained monks with us, around us for the last week or so. And let me tell you that they don't feel new. They never felt new, as in, wow, we got new monks. No, I was looking at this literally today, and I saw some of them, and the feeling of new, or I have never seen them before, I've never talked to them before, it was as if they were there since the beginning. Because what we have to realize is that when we talk about the newly ordained monks, I think what we seem to forget is that, when we talk about newly ordained monks, we always feel that, no, these are new people. There are 13 new ones. And, they're just starting in the sasana, but we forget we're talking about minds. Well, I don't know if you don't forget, but I forgot. That we're talking about minds. A mind that has been, or that has practiced the path. And it is extraordinary to see how quickly, they grasp things. Even though, technically, in the year of training, they did learn all this. So they grasped it very quickly. And, well, technically, we all have new brothers in our family. 13 new ones. 13 new people that we will fight with against their own defilements. And I think it's very, very fortunate, especially for myself and so many others, to be able to help them get to here. Because what we need to realize is Nibbana is a journey. It's a journey that took time. And it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of almost teamwork. Because in this journey, you can't do anything alone. Or else we would see all of us, by ourselves in the middle of a jungle trying to meditate until we get to the end. But what we realize is it's not something that you can do alone. You need what? Noble association. And I do want to expand on what noble association and why this is actually, why the Buddha had said that this is the entire sasana. There's a big reason for that. But before we talk about that, of course, I do really want to remind to help us rejoice in the fact that we have new people. Join the brotherhood, and not just that, every single day. I think I feel so very lucky, so very blessed to be able to associate all these great people. Because what we really need to have inside of us is this idea of, this is the association that we need to attain Nibbana. So of course we're fortunate. Of course we're lucky. And also, not just the new monks. In the middle of this week, Guru Hamdru had also, what did he do? Our teacher, one of our teachers, Guru Hamdru, had gone or had left the monastery for a couple of weeks to go to another place, to go to Australia and New Zealand and help the people there. I was talking to some children from Australia, and I was telling them how lucky they are. I mean, our teacher, right, Guru Hamdru, has left us to go to them, to help them instead of helping us. That's so unfair. Now I was explaining to them how lucky they are, how very fortunate they are to be able to have to get our teacher to go there. And it really leaves a mark when you realize how much merit those people had to have to be able to remove a teacher from one area temporarily, right? I do agree. Of not just one, two, but of hundreds of thousands or thousands of people, and then just place somewhere else to spend for some time, of course, just 2-3 weeks. But those 3 weeks there, helping them, and then coming back eventually, but bringing with him those who have the merits to do this. I mean, out of everyone, they have lots of merits. If we took the entire world, yes, everyone in the monastery is working hard, but we're just talking about this one thing, having Guru Hamdru. They have made the greatest magnet. It's almost as if every single time that they do merits, they create a magnet. And then one day, those metal detectors? I mean, they've made a magnet so strong that it's trying to attract something, and one day they're holding it and Guru Hamdru just gets attracted to the magnet. So yeah, so these are things that will happen. And if we feel, I think this is something that all our teachers have been saying throughout the day, right, throughout this entire week. If we feel upset, or like just a modicum of, Guru Hamdru, where? There's something wrong with our practice. Because our teacher isn't a person, is it? It can't be a person. Because if it is a person, that means once something happens to the person, now where's our teacher? We don't have a teacher. Do we go back to the 4 great hells? Of course not. Because our teacher isn't a person. Our teacher is who? Our teacher is who? Who? No. Not who. What? Because if you can answer the question who, that means it's a person. Because who will always be given to a person. It can't be given to a thing. Because you can't say who a pen. No, it's what a pen. So when we say, okay, who is our teacher? Now we can give names and say, oh, Guru Hamdru is our teacher, this Sarna is a teacher, this person's a teacher. But for us, it's a what? It is the Dhamma and the energy that helps us cleanse our minds. That is who a teacher is. If we don't have that, then do we have a teacher? So if we feel a modicum of, oh no, where's Guru Hamdru? He's left the monastery for 3 weeks. Oh no, or 4 weeks. Oh no. Like for example, if we get a message saying, Guru Hamdru's going to stay there until the end of February. How can we survive until the end of February? How can I breathe? If you feel something like that, then understand that there's something wrong, that you still depend on a person, not on the Dhamma or the energy that takes us. Because if you think about it, you and me, everyone here, even if Guru Hamdru was here, can we all hear the same thing? And I think you will all experience this, and it's something that everyone experiences, not just here, but around the world. Usually when someone is talking, and let's say we take an example, right? Let's say I start talking about something like, once upon a time, right? There was a person who lived in a beautiful city in Singapore. Now, sometimes, in your mind, you go, Singapore. Huh. I wonder what Singapore is like in this day. Sri Lanka, it's raining like non-stop. You see, it's cold here. But Singapore, maybe, and, the person's gone halfway in the story, but you're still on Singapore. But the teacher is still talking. But the student? See, even if the teacher was the Buddha, right? I mean, the Buddha, somehow the Buddha arose in this day and age, right? And is preaching the Dhamma. For some of us, it'll be a dream come true, and we'll be like, yes, finally, it's the Buddha. We'll be able to hear the true Dhamma now. And even though he starts preaching, can you be certain that your mind won't start going on its side tracks, side quests? For example, there are many stories of even in the time of the Buddha where one of his disciples would go to, before they become his disciple, would go to the Buddha not to listen to the Dhamma, just to admire. Go, wow, that's the Buddha? And they're on their own side quest, even though the Buddha is there. Because the teacher isn't a person, isn't a single him or her. It is the Dhamma. Or you can almost call it Dhamma the energy here, or the energy to help us, the energy to Nibbana. So where does it come from? Where does the Dhamma energy come from? From who? From anyone. It can come from absolutely anyone. So just because Guru Hamdru is no longer with us today, does it mean our path to Nibbana is stopped? No, because why? Where there are causes, there will always be an effect. Where there is a void, the void will always be filled. Currently we have a void, and therefore it will be filled. So we are extremely fortunate to be able to give a dane. Is it not dane? Are we giving something here? We gave who? Our teacher temporarily. Temporarily. Don't do that. Temporarily. For 3 weeks. To others. To others. And that is one of the greatest merits that you can do. Why? Sabbadanam, Dhammadanam, Chinati. Out of all almsgiving, the giving of the Dhamma is supreme, is the greatest. So we all have the opportunity to do merits every single moment. I think we seem to sometimes forget how lucky we are to be able to do merits every single moment. As in, every single thought that we have, technically we have 3 options. But there are 2 options that we should always try to do. And what is that? What are the 2 options that we always should try to do? For every single thought. Either merits or contemplation. I think the other day Guru Hamdul gave a perfect example in one of his Saturday sermons. He talked about fixing an alarm in the brain, or not in the brain, in the mind. I think you may remember this, but Guru Hamdul said, imagine someone found some sort of equipment or machine that they can fix in the mind, where every single time you do something, you're the effect of the karma, so your vipaka, or the birth, or where you will be born, according to where you will be born, a sound will be played. So for example, if you're going to be born as a preta, you're in the mind, you'll feel the word, or you'll hear or perceive beep. If you were born as an animal, right, you'll hear, I don't know, boop. If you're going to be born in the area, right, I know, a siren goes off. And if you're going to be born as an asura, I don't know, another sound. Ting, I say. No, because that was a very interesting example. I don't know about you, but after he told me this was something that ran through my mind. If we had an alarm that can tell us the effect, the vipaka that we'll receive, how different our lives would be. Why? You're going and say you're talking with someone, and you talk to them and you say, let's say, tomorrow is my birthday, right? Back then we used to have cake, and all you hear in the background is goes beep, boop, beep, and because if there was an alarm right then and there, when you hear the first beep, you'd be like, but that's all, it's all anicca, and because anicca is this, and this. And now you have the need to what? If I don't practice, where would I be? Oh, preta, no. Let me practice the path. Or you're just walking and, perfect example. Your alarm rings. And your arm reaches to snooze, right? And you hear ding. That is the best alarm, because why? You'll be up. Because why? If I snooze and go back to sleep, that means animal realm, no thank you, I'd rather be awake. And now you'll be awake. Because we always think short term, as in, even if we don't have this equipment or this amazing equipment to fix in our mind, we even though we don't have this equipment, like, we should have some sort of warning system. Just to remind us, when you do something, what is its effect? Because we always think short term. And there is a story that I do want to share with you about short term and long term, right? But I think even Nayakananda will talk about this in his sermon as well. So I won't talk a lot about it, but I do want to touch upon it because I think it was something that he talked about with us that I don't think any of you will be affected by it, but I do know there'll be people listening to this online who will definitely be affected by these sort of things. But anyway, we always think short term. We always think, okay, what is the short term gain I can get out of this? What is the short term that I'm getting? We don't think what will happen in the long term. That's why people are highly likely to take something that will do harm to their body short term. I don't know about anywhere else, but I remember in school they'll have lessons and lessons and lessons about, smoking is bad, alcohol is bad, drugs are bad. But then you look a couple years in the future and you see other people start smoking who learned the same lessons. Why? Yes, smoking gives you lung cancer, but lung cancer happens in 20 years in the future. So what? That's 20 years. I'll probably be dead by then. But the feeling of this elation, I want that feeling. And so we think short term and long term. For example, even if we talked about, our diet. Sometimes we just think about the short term. So you'll find not you, but people will find themselves having things which they know is not going to do them any good. But they will still do it for, the short term, forgetting about long term, forgetting about how dangerous it will be in the long term. Just because short term, I'm going to be happy. Short term, I'm going to have pleasure. Short term, it's all going to be good and great. So like that, we always think short term. So me snoozing is short term what? Pleasure. Long term, animal realm. If we are able to remember that, snoozing is not an option. If we're able to understand that, just aimlessly wandering around, having nothing to do, is like the vipaka, let's say, is to become an asura. If we remember that, we would not do it. So, an early warning system. How fun would that be? And not only that, right? If the warning system would also not just do with bad, but it would do with good as well, how many more people would start doing more merits? So for example, people would then be more willing to what? Help other people, give to others. Why? Because they know right now I will be giving, but in the future I'll be born in Paranin Vasavati, right? Oh, wishing whatever I wanted, I would get. Again, long term. Now, what I also wanted to talk about with the short-term and long-term happiness is a story that Nayakananda shared with us on Thursday. And it is something that I'm pretty sure he'll be talking about in his sermons as well. But I do want to touch on it as well, just in case. So he told us that, and I will be very careful in the way I express things, just in case there are young viewers who may not know anything about this. So I will make sure they don't feel for it as well. But he talked about something, and it is something that has been there since the past, and I do know so. And it talks about, and what he talked about is the feeling or the short-term gain, but the long-term loss. So as I remember, I think one of our monks or anagarikas, I don't know, but was able to talk to a certain individual who was fairly young, but had made the choice to end their lives. And so once they asked the story, and not only did she tell the story, but she also stated how very common this is in this day and age, and it will start and you'll see more and more of this come in the future as well. So if I remember correctly, she was only in her late teens, so 17, 18, or early 20s. And in this day and age, relationships are a big thing. It's been idolized in media, on TVs, films, whatnot, and so she has gone in a relationship, and they've been together for several months, and she enjoys the association of her partner. But then one day, the guy asks one simple question, which is the best trap that he can play, or the best trap that he can play. And he asks a simple question: do you trust me? Now, if we went to the mind of this individual, when someone asks you, do you trust me? And you like their association, if you say no, what will happen? If you say no, what will happen? Association will break. Now, we're talking about the mind with ignorance and attachment. So what do they believe? They believe my happiness is what? From? I must have the person to be happy. This person was giving me happiness. So I'm dependent on the person to give me the pleasure. So if the association is separated, can I feel pleasure? Now, of course, she does. She does trust him. So she says yes. So the guy asks, prove it. Prove it to me that you trust me. Now, I think anyone in this situation will be confused. How can you prove trust? How can you prove trust? And so she asks the guy, and says, I trust you, but how can I prove it? And this was all done under text, right? And so he says, right, if you trust me, send me a photo. Send me a blank photo. You fill in the blank. Now, what is actually... Now, See, I do know this is something that's happened since, I think, the start of the technology era, right? But as social media is increasing, and I do know technically we are very late. We are on the, on the exponential part of it, right? We should have done this way earlier. But hey ho, Vipaka, right? What we have to realize is that a mind that just that is infected with ignorance and attachment, with the feeling that a person or a thing is what's bringing me this happiness, doesn't want to be separated, because what's that? That's going to bring the person so much more what? Suffering in their minds. So when she was asked for a picture, she thinks, okay, I trust him. My pleasure, my happiness is with him. So I want to keep him. So, okay. And so she sends him a picture. Now, she's given him everything. All the cards that he needs to play. And so he has continued and asked her for things. For things that she wasn't willing to give. But his arguments are what? If you don't give it, all I have to do is press a button and, your reputation, your life as you know it will be ruined. So, she has no choice. She gives what she doesn't want. She gives what she doesn't want to give for months and months after this. Pretty much as a slave, getting nothing in return. 6 months in, she's dropped. 6 months in, she's ghosted, she's ignored, she's no more connection with the person. A mind with ignorance and attachment now feels what? Extreme amount of what? Fear. Because why? What if? What if he does something? What if he does this, does that, do this, does that? An immense amount of fear bubble. And so, not just herself, but I think Nayakan gave statistics that within the last month or couple months, 2,300 people have ended their lives like this. Now, I don't know how accurate the statistics are. I did not check it, because I did not have the heart to check it. But 2,300 people have ended their lives due to exposure. Now, what we have to realize is this is because the mind thought of it just short term. Short term, how can I short term bring pleasure? Short term bring happiness. Long term, who cares? Because short term, I can find the pleasure I need. Long term, who knows? Now, here's the thing. Like the reason why I really wanted to share this story is so people who have done this and is currently in the crux of the problem, to tell them it's okay. We have amazing people. We've got the anagarikas, the monks, anagarikas, who are willing to do whatever they can to help you. And those who haven't done it yet, to give you a strong view to not to do it. Because that's all we can do. Because I don't think anyone in the monastery has like the capability to hack into every single phone just to delete a picture. And I don't think we will ever do that either. But what we can do is help minds. Help minds understand and help minds heal. So those in need of healing, I do want to say that there is other choices. We have an amazing group of anagarikas who are willing to give their hearts and souls to help another person. And those of you who haven't done it yet, just keep this in mind. And I think she gave permission to share the story without using names or whatnot. So this is why I shared the story, and to bring awareness. Because again, we really think about short term. We really don't think about what is the long term effect. I want, say I want this pen. So short term we think, if I took the pen, I'll be happy. Long term, we don't think that, okay, once I take the pen, the amount of stuff I have to do for the pen, I already have a black pen and a red pen. Having a blue pen means what? I am going to have to take care of this pen. Not only that, how will I get this pen? If I steal it, now what? I'm going to face the consequences. If I lie to get it, Mom, my black pen is missing. Can I please have a blue pen? Now, if you lie, you're going to have to face the consequences. If you can't face the time, don't do the crime. If you can't face the time, don't do the crime. Because we always think about the short term. What is the short term stuff I can gain? How can I get the most out of this? We forget to think about what will happen afterwards. Because a mind with ignorance is blind. And if you are blind, what do you need? If you are blind, what do you need? Glasses. And that is also a great way of understanding what the Dhamma is truly like. It's like glasses. For example, those of you who wear glasses, how do you know you needed glasses? How do you know you needed glasses? What happened for you to know that you needed glasses? Were you born with the idea that you needed glasses? You see, whatever we perceive, we believe what we perceive is 100% true. Do we ever doubt our perceptions? No, we think, okay, I see this is true. I see that, this is true. I see this is true. This is true. All this is true. We don't doubt our perceptions. However, most likely what must have happened is someone says, oh, do you see in the far tree there's a small blue beautiful bird, and you look and you see a blob of green and you say, where bird? I see just green. And then you think, oh, bird, probably there's a bird there, I don't know. And someone else says, can you read this for me? And you go and you keep it like, I don't know, I think more, the less you see, the further you put the paper. I don't know, like grandparents, they look at their papers like at a distance, right? And they're like, I can't see this. What does it say? So normally someone will show you there's a problem. If not, you won't say there's a problem at hand. So once you know there's a problem with your eyesight, what do you do? That's okay. I can see. I can survive without seeing, and you live the rest of your life, right? No, where do you go? You go straight to where? I don't know. I don't know where you go in Sri Lanka. We have Specsavers in the UK, right? Or the opticians. There you go. Right? You go to the opticians. Now, at the opticians, what do the opticians do? Those of you who've had your eyes checked, right? You'll see, on a wall in the far back, you see seen something like this? Yeah. They have something like this, right? And what do they say? Okay, from the top, read it out. And you say, E, O, E, L, A, U. And the optician will look and say, okay. And then what do they do? What do they do? They'll take a machine and they'll put it onto your eyes, and they put a lens in. Once they put a lens in, what do they say? Can you read again? A, F, L. And what do they do? Another lens. Read again. Close your left eye and read. Close your right eye and read. And they'll keep adjusting the lens. Now, if you were to say, optician, I can't see the board. Right? I can't see anything. That means two things. What does it mean? Either that you're blind, or you're not looking at the board. What are you looking at? The glasses. It means you're not looking at the board. What are you looking at? You're looking at glasses and you're thinking, I can't see the board. I can only see what? The rims of my glass. See, what do? You put on these lenses. The optician will keep putting lenses and tell you to do what? Read. They'll do it until you can read. I don't know, at the back if you can read this. Can anyone read the back here? No? Is it? You can? For those of you who can't read, it says MNZY. Can anyone read the bottom? It says TOUV, and I have no idea what this is. Right. TOUV. They'll do it until they're satisfied with your vision. But they'll continue to do what? They'll tell you to keep on looking. Technically, the reason why they have this is for what? So they can check whether you're seeing clearly. But if they don't need to check, wouldn't you want to be able to look around and look at everything around? The more that this changes, the more you can check, the better you can check your glasses to see if it's perfect. If it's perfect, what do? If it's perfect, what do? You tell the opticians, yep, good, I can see 20/20. Right? And then they fix the lenses and they give you a glass, and then you see clearly for the rest. No, not the rest of your life, until your eyes weaken again. But this is basically what we have to do with the Dhamma. What is that? With the lens of the Dhamma, you have to go and see what? The glasses? See the Dhamma? No. Because a lot of people tell me, right, and I think it's a very common question, especially for those who are practicing and are trying to contemplate on the Dhamma. What is it? When I can't contemplate, right? It's instead, or a very common question, a very common thing that lots of people say is, when I try to contemplate, my mind goes everywhere. I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about the moon, I'm thinking about home, I'm thinking about, I can't stay and think about, the Dhamma. It's almost as if you're saying, I can't see the board. I can just see, I can't see anything because I'm staring at my glasses. You see, what is the Dhamma used for? The Dhamma is there to be looked through, not looked at. Using your understanding of the Dhamma, you have to look through the lens of Dhamma to see what you are seeing, but with Dhamma. To show yourselves, for example, right? Instead of us having two round glasses, right? We have 3. We have 3 glasses. What are the 3 glasses? A, D, A. What's ADA? Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. We have 3 glasses. At every moment, what we should try to do to make sure to see clearly, what should we do? We should see through ADA. We have to put our specs on and look through it and see the world. Okay, once you put your specs on, before you put your specs off, what's this? A pen. When you put your specs on, what do you still see? A pen. Does that change? Once you put your specs on, will this pen change? No, but what will change? Your perception. You will see this in its clear form. You would know what this is. Because an arahant will still look at this and still call it a pen. But what won't he feel? Nitya Sukha Atta. Nsa. Right? NSA. They won't feel this to be, a fixed, intrinsically valuable. That sounds weird. They don't see this to be a valuable or a fixed or something that is not cause and effect. Not so Nitya Sukha, or that is Nitya Sukha. He will not see it, he will not feel, he or she will not feel it to be like that, will not perceive it to be like that. Instead, they will feel what? Or they'll perceive what? It to be in its reality. What? Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. Now, just like the opticians, until we become arahants, we don't have fixed glasses. What do we have? We're at the opticians putting in lenses. Sometimes someone will put in a lens. Sometimes you could put in your own lens. For example, you know that this should be an A, but you see an E. What should you do? Optician, I'm seeing an E here. That should be an A, right? You're like, here, let me put lens in, and you put your own lens in, and you say, there we go. Now it's an A. See, what we have to do is, using the Dhamma, we should be able to look through. Now, we can try to look at this. Looking at this is good, because why? That's you putting in lenses. But you putting in like 5 centimeters of lens, do you need that? No, you need it for what? To look through at your life. Now, just like the optician asks you to look at this and read this out loud, what do you require when you look through the glasses of ADA? You require to look outside. So when you are contemplating, all you have to do is see the world, whatever you're doing at that moment, through the glasses of ADA, anicca, dukkha, anatta. You have to look through it. So here's the thing, right? You have to, just like once you wear your glasses for the first time, right? You look around. Once you get to wear your glasses for the first time, do you wear your glasses and keep your eyes closed? I got these new glasses the other day. Look, can you see them? And you keep your eyes closed, hoping that you won't bump into something. No, you open your eyes and you look around. You've probably seen those videos of people who are colorblind, and they wear their colorblind glasses for the first time, and like, oh wow, is red so red? Wow, I'd never seen this. Or just like that, they go around looking. The number of stimuluses that changes is more effective for us. The more that the stimulus changes, the more that we can check our glasses. That's why there's not just one row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many rows there are in the opticians, but say there are 5 rows. That's why there are 5 rows. And not only that, they can change this. They'll change it with a button. They'll change it to something else. They'll change it to something else and ask you to read again. Why? So they can check what? They can check whether you see clearly. So when you are contemplating, your mind will wander. That is fine. Because why? If the mind didn't wander, then we have a problem. What's the problem? If the mind didn't wander, there's a problem. What's that problem? The mind is fixed. If the mind is fixed, then what? Nibbana is impossible. And not only this, again, something that the trap that we all can fall into. And it is normal to fall in this trap, because on our journey to Nibbana, there are many places where people will get stuck on. So if I asked you, we are seeing clearly for what? Now, the normal answer that people give me is that they say, I want to stop being angry. I want to stop being sad, stop being upset. In other words, a mind arises that is angry. I want to stop that. So if a mind was to arise angry, do you need to stop it? If a mind arose and the mind is angry, do you need to stop it? No, because why? When the mind arises, what is its next thing in its lifespan? Pass away. If a mind arises and you are sad, it will pass away. We are not here to fight with minds or clean minds. What are we here to do? Clean the what? Clean the what? the mental base. Again, let me give you another analogy, right? I think this is an analogy that, let's take this, right? This is an analogy that I've heard so many times, but it makes complete sense. If there is a stream of water, right, and for some reason the water is red, normally what we would do is put on a filter here so we can have somewhere in the middle, we can have blue, normal water. This is like we're trying to clean the mind. This is a constant process. Now that plant has to be constantly on. Why? Cleaning every single mind. A mind arises that's angry. Oh, why? When you're trying to clean a mind. Unfortunately, with the mind, how long does a mind last? I don't know, like a fraction of a femto or a picosecond. Right, that's like 0.000000000 times 10 to the power of minus 6 milliseconds. Right? And you can't clean that, because why? It's not something that we can even comprehend how fast it is. You can't feel a mind arise and pass away. You can only feel a bunch of them. A collection. You can only feel a collection. For example, when you see this, do you perceive green or a green duster? Do you perceive like a green dot at a time? No, you perceive straight away a green duster. Wow, it's a green duster. Because you don't perceive a mind, you perceive a collection of them. So we try to clean mind. That's why we get really upset when, you got angry with someone, you got upset with someone, you got scared. We become upset because we think that, oh, those shouldn't happen. So we're trying to cleanse the mind. We're not trying to cleanse the mind. We're trying to cleanse where? We look back at this stream. And, at a point the stream was blue. When it started, it was blue. But unfortunately, somewhere along the middle, there was a factory that produces red dye that has a leak. That's why it's red. So instead of filtering it before or afterwards, all you have to do is what? Clean the mental base, or remove the leakage. Now what? The mind is clean. The mind is pure. Now the water doesn't need to be cleaned. You don't need a cleaning plant here. You see, we have to clean the mental base. Now that is actually very dangerous. Cleaning the mental base is dangerous. Why is that? When the mind arises to clean, it cleans. When the mind arises to make dirty, it will become dirty. Because how can you trust your mind? This is a good question. Can you trust your mind? Of course I can. It's my mind. Of course I can trust it. It's something I've had since, I was, since the start of my samsara, I've had it. I can trust it, can't I? We feel that we can trust it because why? We feel that we are in control. Just take a moment and just look back at the past week. How many things you have done that is going against what you would have wanted to have done? It's really funny when you start talking to little children, or not little children, children in general, and you'll hear them say, next school holiday, I'm going to study, right? And then I'm going to pass this exam. And in the school holidays, what do? They study. Of course they study, right? They study on their computers. They study on their phones. They study on, with footballs and basketballs. They study a lot. But because they think that, in the future, because I'm in control, I'll be doing this. But what they don't realize is a mind is what? The mental base is constantly affected. That's what makes it dangerous. We can't control what affects it. One mind can come on and can try to clean it. The next mind, now you see this a lot, not just with people who are trying to clean their minds, but people who are trying to get rid of addictions. You will see this a lot. What? Every single day that they decide, say they love eating chocolate. They decide, you know what, I'm going to stop eating chocolate. So for an entire month, they go cold turkey and they say, I'm not going to eat a single bit of chocolate. After a month, they think, for an entire month, I haven't eaten a single bit of chocolate. I need just a small amount. A small amount won't hurt. And then what do? They eat the chocolate. And then what? What happens to their minds now? Wow, chocolates. Oh my God. Because why? A month of what? A month of constant vexation. A small bit of chocolate. Paradise. And then they come to the thought that, and then they think, oh, I had chocolate, I shouldn't eat chocolate. And then only 2 more weeks have to go by. And they think, I did 2 weeks, I should reward myself with a bit of chocolate. I already had 1 piece. What's wrong with me having a bit more? And it goes on and on and on. And then eventually they find out, oh, I'm back to not square one. If this is square one, oh, that's not square. If this is square one, and it's still going. Like, square, you're minus now. Because this is the thing, when the mind, because we're talking about a mind base here, not about a single mind. If you stop contemplating, what will happen is, this is very quickly, will go back to where it started and worse. If you think that, I want to take a break. For the last couple, in last entire week, I was contemplating every single day. Today, I want to take a break. Turn on YouTube and let's see what's on YouTube. Now what? The entire week that you spent contemplating every single day is gone in when? In a couple of minutes. Because whether you like it or not, every single mind is either cleaning or making this dirty. Cleaning or making this dirty. That's why the Buddha had said, do not consume a meal without prativiksha. You can say, well, when I'm consuming a meal, I am. This is why your teachers will tell you, when you're eating, consuming a meal, don't talk with someone else. Because when you're consuming a meal, what you forget to realize is the mind base is being affected. If you're not conscious and you're not contemplating, what will happen is you'll be talking to this other person, and every single moment you'll think, oh, good food, good food, good food, good food, good food. Making this more and more, making this harder and harder to break. That's the thing. You really need to have this, this determination to not to give up until it's done. If I'm going to say, get out of my addiction to chocolate, I will not eat chocolate until I'm no longer addicted. You have to have that determination. You have to have that perseverance. If not, you will go back to square one. Give yourself a loophole. Just if you give your mind a small loophole, your mind will take every sort of advantage it possibly can through that hole. It reminded me of a story of, I think it was a camel, where there's I think in one of the hot Middle East countries, there was a camel. In the hot sun, right, the camel was under this heat and sees a house, or a small caravan. And so what he does is he goes and sees the door a bit open, and so it pops its head in. Now the person living in the caravan says, oh, excuse me, camel, what are you doing? And the camel says, well, it's very hot outside, right? I'm burning, can I just keep my head in? And the person, feeling utmost compassion, says, okay. By next morning, the camel's head and 2 front feet were in. And so the person asks, you said head. Look, sir, it's really hot outside. My legs were burning. I need to be under the shade, and my head was already in, right? So 2 forward feet won't hurt. The next day, everything but the tail. You just said head and 2 front feet, right? What's this with the back feet, the hind legs? Well, look, sir, it's hot outside, right? Yeah, my back was burning. You can't show some compassion, sir, right? I should adjust my back legs. And then, eventually, there was no space inside the caravan, and so the camel says, all I do is put my tail in. Please, sir, I have to, I was burning outside. My tail is burning outside. Can you go outside the caravan? I'll stay in the caravan. You can go out. And the person does what? He leaves the caravan. Because the mind, if you give the mind the smallest of loopholes, the mind will find the way out. The mind will find a way to get what it wants done using whatever it has. I mean, have you ever, especially with children, young children, with your children, right? Give them a rule. Say, Buddha, I don't know, you can only eat chocolate after dinner. You give them the rule, if they find the smallest of loopholes, it's like they don't have a rule in the first place. No, I don't know about you, but I used to do this. Whenever Amma gave a rule, the first thing I'll do is sit by myself to the side to think about every sort of loophole that I can make out of this. She'll be like, you can't do this. And I find a way to do it. You don't do this. I find a way to do it. Because why? Because the mind wants to relieve itself from vexation. Doesn't want to get rid of this. Instead, it wants to just continue to flow. Continue to flow in its default state. Because why? It's what we're used to. We're going 180 degrees backwards. Trying to go back to get rid of the drips. But we can't. Because our mind just says, just let it flow. Just let it flow. Don't fix the drips. We're okay. What is a little bit of red going to do to the stream? And you know that the red water is poisonous and it's killing you, but the mind will say, it's okay. A small bit of chocolate won't hurt. Just one video won't hurt. Just one time snoozing the alarm clock won't hurt. Just 5 more minutes of sleep won't hurt. But they do. They are all affecting the mind base. I think the worst thing someone who is practicing the path or the worst trap they can fall into is testing themselves. I hadn't had chocolate for 6 months. Right? I wonder if I'm still attached to chocolate. And let's forget chocolate. We use chocolate way too often. Let's say YouTube, right? I haven't watched YouTube in a year. I wonder if I'm still attached to watching YouTube. Yeah, and so what you do is you click on YouTube and say I used to be attached to watching my favorite YouTuber. I wonder if I'm still attached. You click on that channel, you click on their latest video. Anicca, yeah, it's all anicca, yeah, anicca. It's all cause and effect. Ooh, up next another video. Let's check that one as well. Oh, look, it's all dukkha. Up next, that video, another video from the same creator. Let's watch that. Anatta. And then you find yourself continuing to watch and keep on watching. And then tomorrow you think, I have to practice my path. So to practice my path, I have to watch this YouTube video, the newest video from the person. Not realizing that you're putting yourself back. The best way to identify whether you are still attached or not is when it happens to see. To have or that's why when someone skydives, they've got 2 parachutes. Why? Just in case one of them doesn't release. They have 2, a backup. I don't know. Will you willingly go skydiving knowing that one of them will fail? No, but you will willingly put yourself in front of YouTube just to check yourself. So the way you can do it is when that situation arises, to check. And to judge with your first reaction. What I mean is, when something happens, always judge what you are like with your first reaction. Someone comes and shouts at you. If you feel angry, understand that you feel angry. Afterwards, you may start to compensate and say, it's all anicca dukkha anatta. But understand at the first moment you were angry, which means you still become angry. Now there's something you have to contemplate on. Or let's say you drop your phone, right? And if you still feel, understand you still have an attachment to the phone. Not that afterwards you think, oh, it's anicca, and then you pick it up and it's nothing's happened to the phone. Your initial reaction is in its rawest form. That is what you truly feel. Afterwards, it's your contemplation and all that happens. But the first initial reaction, that's how you should judge yourself. That is the best way you can judge yourself. Because if you think that, okay, I felt desire in the beginning, afterwards I didn't feel desire, so I don't feel desire. You can't say that, because why? At the beginning you did. It's like almost taking a knife and cutting yourself and understanding afterwards that you've cut yourself. No, you have to understand before you even pick up the knife or before you cut yourself that a knife has the ability to cut. So you have to judge yourself like that. And I'm well aware of the time. We have gone a bit over time. But before we do conclude, I have one announcement that I have to make. But before that, I want to share a story. One that I found very interesting. And this is mostly for our younger generations. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I used to grow up thinking that our ancestors were tribal people who used to go hunting with bows and arrows. Like, you tell me, if you ask me what was Sri Lanka like 500 years ago, I'll say they had spears and arrows and were hunting animals. But something that I learned in about 2 weeks ago is actually how very intelligent our ancestors were. And I'll tell you one story which really, really stuck with me. Just to show when there was a time where people knew what they used to do, and then it became culture. And after it became culture, people started to argue and say, why do we do that in the first place? So I was told back in I don't know how many decades or centuries ago. Now we're coming back to a time where people used to be agriculturists, right? They used to farm and do all this. In a family, when the mother makes the meal, right? So their main meal of Sri Lanka used to be rice. When the mother cooks rice, the first and foremost portion, who does she separate it out for? So in a pot of rice, right? Because back then they don't have rice cookers, right? They have pots, right? The first and foremost portion was given to who? The Lord Buddha. The rest of the next portion was given to who? Usually it was given to the husband or the oldest child. Now, in this day and age, we think, oh, why is that? Like, what's the point of that? Like, giving it to the oldest child or the husband? Why is that? There was a reason why, actually. And I was very surprised to hear this. So let me explain what the rest is for. Then, usually the middle part was given to the other children. And the mother would always eat what? The mother will always eat what? The damkuda. It's like the remaining, the remains. The residue that usually is at the bottom. Now, Now you can think that's really unfair. Why does she get like the remains, right? Like, shouldn't she get? She's really important. Shouldn't she get from the top? But there was a reason why, and it was very interesting to learn this. This is because this is a person who has been with the Ayurvedic side for his entire life. He was saying that when you cook a pot of rice, what tends to happen is the top part is usually high in cholesterol. Now, that doesn't mean that the mother wanted the father to get cholesterol. No. It's because cholesterol is really important for people who need high energy. And because the father and the oldest child would normally be out in the fields working and doing all that, they need all that energy. Therefore, the top portion will be given to the father and the oldest child. Now, because the middle bit is in between the top and bottom, and this is where most of the important nutrients are, which is useful for growth, which is useful for development, right, of the brain and the nerves and the body and all this stuff. That's why it was given to the children. Now, mothers, they have the remaining bit. Why is that? It's very interesting when I got to hear this, right? He asked, right? Back then, a mother would do lots of things, have to have lots of energy, right? To look after the children, because in the past that's what happened, right? They looked after children. They had to, they have like massive mortars and pestles, which they have to grind and crush and do so much intensive work. So they were very strong individuals. But also, they were very, very, not very, but they were, thin. Because why? The remaining portion is high in energy, but low in fat. So the mother knew. The mother was a smart one. What? She wanted energy, but didn't want to gain weight. So what did she do? She ate dankudet. And I thought, well, this used to be tradition. Like, I've heard this. I've heard that this is what normally would have happened. And I used to think, well, what's the point of that? It's just a culture, just a tradition. But there's a reason for that. There were so many things, just like this, there were so many things that he was talking about. How our ancestors would have done, which they knew why they were doing. But after a while, it just became tradition. And people decided that, why do we do these traditions? What's the point? And they lose out on its meanings. Because now, people would just take from the top. And that's why, and they don't do hard, intensive work. That's why you get lots of people who have cholesterol and diabetes and blood pressure and all these other health issues. So back then they knew, which makes us question, where are ancestors as trivial as we used to think? In tribes and whatnot, they were smart. And not only that, he also showed us a yellow flower. I wish I had that yellow flower with me. It's a very small yellow flower. Right? A very small yellow flower that grows on the edges of paddy fields. And literally he gave me the flower, not just myself, but there are several others. He gave us the flowers and he said, bite the flower and keep it on your tongue. So what do? We bit the flower and kept it on our tongue. Within several, I won't say minutes, the tip of my tongue started feeling tingly. numb. The tip of my tongue felt numb. Our ancestors have found ways, before we had medicines, to have local anesthetics. So he just gave us one flower. He told us that if we had 5 or 6 flowers, like you can actually like numb the entire tongue or like a limb. That's the thing. The traditions that we've had, the traditions that we do, they all have a meaning. Through the testament of time, most of these have lost meanings and they've just become just a tradition, a culture, or a way of doing things. But there are meanings. There are meanings behind all of these. Something that you can grab, something that you can learn. Now, I really wish I had that flower with me. I had asked one of our Anagarikas to take it, but I think he's probably lost it. It's literally like that size, or a bit that size, the flower. But it also makes you think, if that small flower can make the tip of your tongue feel numb, what about the rest of it? The body is entirely... I think that day I realized that the body is something that can be affected by a small flower. It's all cause and effect. Huh? Me and names, we don't go hand in hand. I'm very bad with remembering names. I can tell you the story, but names... I don't know. I really don't know. But this is the thing. This is something that we've had. So it really did open my eye to realize that our ancestors were smart. Although they may not have laptops and computers and access to the internet, right? They had access to nature. And it really was inspiring. Right. So today we talked about a lot of things today, didn't we? But most importantly, we talked about short-term and long-term. Right? Short-term gains and long-term gains. And also seeing not seeing your glasses, but seeing through your glasses. If you can take anything away from today, take that. Look at your life through the lenses of Dhamma. Don't look at just the Dhamma. Because looking at Dhamma will make your glasses stronger and better and whatnot. But what is the point if you still can't see? And not to forget the story of the short-term and long-term with the pictures and whatnot. I do want to spread awareness just because I don't want those, because I realize, because the mind is like that. There is no one to have done or to have received. But it is an act that people can fall into. It's a trap that people can fall into. I feel sorry not for just the victim. Because why? What you give is what you get. That mind will have to receive, beyond, I don't know, what they will receive. So I do feel sorry for both victim and perpetrator. So again, I do really want to spread awareness. So if you do know anyone who has done something like this, or who may not have done it, but may have the tendency to, please give them a warning. Right? To save them before it's too late. Like I said, we are already in the middle of the problem. If we could have done this near the start, we won't have this. But unfortunately, it is a problem that, I don't know, it's been predicted to increase over the years. And you'll hear more about this with the talks from Guru Nayak Handrus and Guru Handrus and all the other monks and teachers. Okay. And before we conclude, let's take a few moments to transfer our merits. Let's take a moment to transfer all the merits we've acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, chanting Pirit, listening Dharma, and engaging in various meritorious deeds today. So first and foremost, let's remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt of the Lord Buddha's teachings. And with immense gratitude, let's chant for the merits of the Bhikshu, Bhikshunis, Upasakas, who since time immemorial have protected and preserved the sublime teaching of the Buddha and passed it down through the generation of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, to understand, and to comprehend Dhamma. Let's all take a moment to transfer merits to all the members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including all chief pillars of the chapters who've dedicated their lives to the noble path and committed themselves to betterment of all sentient beings. Let's not forget among them will be the monks and nuns residing in local temples and nunneries, who have always been by your side to thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let's all take a moment to transfer merits to Guru Sananse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery, as well as the anagarikas and agarikas attached to the monastery. Let's all take a moment to transfer merits and express our gratitude to those who made great effort to disseminate the teaching of the Buddha, be it by translating some and share them out with others, inviting others to join them, make the power merits. If any of them have been born in the woeful plane, may they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May by the power merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble foot path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Also take a moment to transfer merits to devotees, friends of the monastery, who for sake of merits continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes every one of you who have contributed to the construction of the monastery, to those of you who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, robes, medicines, as well as those who pass in their no-hacks and their well wishes. May they power merits. If any of them be born in the wealth plane, may they redeem themselves and born in the bliss plane. May by the power of merits, may they abstain from non-meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also take a moment to transfer our merits to our mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces, friends, our elders, friends and acquaintances, employees, and to all those who've helped us, supported us, assisted us in any way, shape, or form. By the power of these merits, may they be healed of any physical or mental ailments. May they overcome any obstacles in their spiritual progress. May they abstain from unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble foot path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's take a moment to transfer our merits to the Devas, Brahmanas, spirits, demons, primarily the Sakudeva, as well as demons, gods, and deities who are committed to protect and fulfill the disaster. Let's not forget, among them will be our guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May the power of the merits, may they prosper in divine power and wisdom, may they abstain from their meritorious deeds, fulfill their meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble foot path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So take a moment to transfer merits to our ancestors who predeceased us, to all those who have been friends and family to us in this long journey in samsara. So take a moment to transfer merits to all the members of the Mahasangha present, all the members of the armed forces, was a police force who have sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. May all those who lost life in the war be their friend or foe. Rejoice in the merits of Christ today. Let's take a moment to transfer merits to all those who lost their lives in natural calamities such as tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides, and pandemics, reminding ourselves among them will be those who have been friends and family to us in a long journey in samsara. May by the power of the merits, if any of them have been born in the wealth plains, may they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May by the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble foot path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, in this all resolve, may the power and blessings of all the merits throughout the day, we've been witness the event of many hundreds of thousands of Arhat Nuances, Arhat Mehin Nuances in this blessed land. And finally, may the power of all the merits throughout the day, you and I and everyone who made this program a success become a Arhat Nuance or Arhat Mehin Nuance in this very life, in the era of the Gautama, Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of Noble Triple Gem be with you all. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginen midetnva, dvesha ginen midetnva, moha ginen midetnva, නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා මමද සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝ නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා රාගගිනි නිවේවා දේශගිනි නිවේවා මෝහගිනි නිවේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා තුන්වන්ගේ සුසියාන්ත මහා ගුණ බැලින් සියලු ලෝක සිය සත්‍යෝම නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛින් සුතර වෙත්වා